What's up everyone, today I'll be showcasing a team that carried Ricardo all the way up to 3700 rating and the #1 spot on the global leaderboards. The team is Shadow, Swampert, Tentacruel and Skarmory, and it is busted. The first 3 sets I did with it during my Twitch livestream were all 5-0, so really nice team. We're just gonna head into these battles, starting with a Trevenant lead, which is obviously awful, so I gotta switch into Tentacruel, which is usually gonna be your pivot in this line. It's just less likely to get hard countered than Skarmory. Out comes an Ampharos, which is really bad for Tentacruel, but luckily we are a tank. I'm easily able to tank a Thunder Punch there. I'm gonna hit the Sludge. Sludge, I think, is a preferred move on Tentacruel in this meta because it really helps versus wall range and Trevenant, and also does more damage than Scald in neutral matchups like Ampharos, and this will allow me to shield up the next Thunder Punch, farm down, and now we've grabbed Switchback, and I can keep my Swampert away from that Trevenant. They're gonna switch in their Trevenant back in right now. I'm really hoping I get to the Sludge, but unfortunately I can't, so I'm forced to go for the Scald, which hopefully takes a shield, but no, my opponent knows how to count, knows it wasn't the Sludge, so I let it go. Still, that allows me to switch in my Skarm here now, and they throw a Shadow Ball, which I just let go. So I'm already shield down, doesn't use a shield there. Out comes Empoleon. I'm very happy I got switch advantage, because the Empoleon would have been awful on my Skarmory, but still, Empoleon with a shield advantage now is pretty bad. Its Swampert will not be able to reach 3 moves even, most likely. I'm just gonna go for the Hydro Cannon here, because if I can take both shields, that'd be fine with me. Unfortunately, they call the first one, let it go, and this just puts me in a very rough spot, because at this point, they can just shield up the next, throw a Hydro right before I can get to my next one, and they still have a shield left, they still have an Empoleon left, and they still have some Trevenant left too. My only hope here now is farming down with Skarmory, which I'm barely able to do right before they can get to the next Hydro there. Out comes Trevenant. If I can get to 2 Sky attacks before they can get to the Shadow Ball, should be able to win this game still, but it's gonna be very close. And I barely get there. They should be able to knock out the Trevenant, and we win a completely hard counter game. GG's. Speaking of hard counters, the next lead is pretty bad as well, with Dragonite into Swampert. Again, we switch into the Tentacruel, as that is gonna be a pivot in this line. Not an amazing matchup for Tentacruel, but fine enough. I can take a Dragon Claw. Out comes a Ferrothorn now, which is absolutely terrible. Ferrothorn resists everything you can throw at it. A Sludge Wave is actually a better move to throw here. It's better DPE than Scald, but I was really hoping for an attack drop on the Ferrothorn. Didn't happen though, which is unfortunate. Now I'm just gonna hope I can get to a Sludge Wave still, and if I can't, I'll throw Scald. But looks like I can get to the Sludge Wave, so I'll throw that just to do the maximum amount of damage possible. So bring the Ferrothorn into the yellow, at least into a range where I can come in Skarmory, build up to the Sky Attack. The Sky Attack should be able to knock out at that point. Unfortunately though, this Ferrothorn is also running Thunder. It's the ultimate core breaker for this line. Not great. I'm just gonna keep farming though. I want energy to throw at whatever is in the back as well, so I'm gonna farm up. And they bait with the Power Whip, which is really bad. It's just getting worse and worse, honestly. It's getting worse and worse. We're gonna throw the Sky Attack here, which actually shield. Just wild. If they'd stayed in there, thrown one more Bullet Seed, I would have tried to catch a Thunder, but they actually switch out into Dragonite. So I'm just gonna stay in with Skarmory at this point. Throw the Sky Attack, farm down right before they can get to the Dragon Claw. Out comes Sylveon now, just gonna go for the Sky Attack. I could have reached Brave Bird there, but then they would have gotten more Charms of Energy, which I didn't want, because then they'd be able to outpace me to 2 moves, which I didn't want either. I'm not sure if a Hydro Cannon knocks out at this point, so after I throw this one, I'm actually not gonna throw. Because if the Hydro doesn't knock out and they survive at like 1 HP, they will take the shield with Psyshock, and then I'm useless versus Ferrothorn. So instead, I didn't throw it at Sylveon, but after I shield up their move, I actually throw immediately, so that if the Ferrothorn switches in, I can kill it before it gets to the Power Whip, and I still have enough health and energy to get to the next Hydro to take out the Sylveon at this point. GG's. Next match, we see a Sylveon. They have 2 better answers in the back, so I switch into my Tentacruel. Out comes a Swampert. This is not too bad for Tenta, actually. If I can hit a Scald here and shield 2 Earthquakes, I should be able to farm down and take switch advantage, which will be quite nice, as getting that Skarmory aligned to the Sylveon will be pretty huge. We're going to shield up this move. Like every single Swampert I've seen, just Earthquakes here, straight up. So it's a pretty safe shield. Until they start baiting, of course, then you're screwed. If they bait once, you're pretty screwed. But luckily, most won't. I get 2 attack drops as well, which is wild, but it's not really gonna matter. I mean, an Earthquake would still one-shot, so I got a shield up here. It is the Earthquake. Great shield. Now I'm able to farm down. Not before they get to the Hydro, though, so this is where the attack drop does come in a little bit clutch, as this will now do much less damage, which is nice, I guess, preserving some health on the Tentacruel. In comes Warren, overfarm a bunch, and they actually catch the Sludge Wave on Sylveon, which is insane, but, like, fine. Right? This is okay. We're gonna farm it down with Skarmory now, as we'll just get more energy on Skarmory than I would get if I farm it down with Warren. Oh, with Warren? No, with Tentacruel. Warren comes back in now into my loaded Skarm, which is fine. You know, Warren is kind of a core breaker for this team. Technically, it can beat all 3 of my Pokemon. But like with teamwork, it is extremely manageable. Extremely manageable. Here you can see Sky Attacks are adding up. We're gonna throw another one right here. They're forced to use a shield basically, or I'm just gonna farm them down with Tentacruel, and still like a loaded. Well, I have a Tentacruel with like a little bit of energy left, and then I have a full health Swampert, so should be looking pretty good there. Just gonna take some more energy with my Skarmory off this Walrein by forcing them to throw here, because I would have gotten to the Sky Attack otherwise. Bring in the Tentacruel now to take even more energy if they want to throw that. But they know it's over, so they concede the match. GG's. Alright, next game, another Trevenant lead. Obviously, extremely awful, so I bring in the Tentacruel. They're gonna throw a move here. Generally, I don't shield my Tentacruel. Just a sponge, really. Another shield. So I let that Shadow Ball go. Out comes a Gyarados for the opponent now. Gonna throw a Sludge, so it'll do a ton of damage. They let it go. And they're going to be able to throw a charge move here to take out my Tentacruel. I think this is Crunch. Yeah, this is Crunch. Because we're afraid Aqua Tail would not KO, and I don't think it would. I could have come in with Skarmory here to farm down the Gyarados, but instead I opted to go with Swampert, because I felt like I could take an Aqua Tail here, farm up a bunch of energy, and that might be useful in the back. So that's why I did that. Might seem like kind of an odd play, but you're actually going to see it comes in kind of clutch later on. Anyway, a Dragonite comes in here, which is very good. Their team is actually triple weak to Skarmory. But remember, there's also almost a full Trevenant left. So this might be a bit too much for Skarmory to deal with. I was kind of worried that Skarmory wouldn't be able to manage. I no-shoot the first move expecting a Dragon Claw bait, and it was. If that was a superpower, that would have been quite bad. But luckily, it was a Dragon Claw, so easily survive. Now I'm gonna have to shield up the next ones though, as they would bring my Skarmory into a pretty worrying health range. Actually shield up the next Sky Attack as well. Gonna shield up this Dragon Claw at this point. I was gonna farm up as much energy on Skarmory as possible. Throw my Sky Attack right before they get to another Dragon Claw, and then hope my Skarmory can get to a Sky Attack versus a Trevenant before they can get to another move. And that should be possible, as I'm 2 away. This shouldn't knock out the Trevenant, but since I have a Hydro Cannon loaded, I should be able to just switch into Swampert, fire off the Hydro, knock out the Trevenant, and that is another good game. They're triple Swampert answer. But we still managed to beat him with the Swampert. GG's. Our next game, a licky lead. Now, if this was like Snorlax, or are there different lickers? I was gonna say another licker, but I don't think there's another licker besides Snorlax and Licky. If this was Snorlax, I would instant switch Tentacruel most likely, or throw a Hydro and then switch, because Snorlax runs Body Slam Superpower usually. But with Licky, there's the risk it's running Earthquake. So I don't dare to switch in Tentacruel. Turns out they're running Shadow Ball though, so I'm safe to switch into my Tentacruel now after farming up to a Hydro. Catch a move, just a Body Slam, pretty nice catch. I'm sure we have to farm down the Licky, but I don't allow that. The switch in Nidoqueen is actually not too bad for Tentacruel. Actually, after this Body Slam, I'm in Earth Power range, but from full health, that actually doesn't knock out. So generally, if you get like a little bit of an energy lead, they're gonna have to shield your moves or shoot one move in order to win this matchup. But yeah, now I'm chipped already. It's not that great. They're definitely gonna win. But I want to burn at least one shield. I think I want to burn one shield because that just makes my Skarmory a lot stronger. And I have like one move on Swampert loaded and very low HP. So I think if I get a shield down, there's a higher chance of actually being able to hit that move on something. Anyway, we're gonna farm down the Nidoqueen with Skarmory now. this should only be an Earth Power or Poison Fang at max, so I don't bother shielding. Out comes their own Tentacruel, which is crazy. We're gonna go straight for the Brave Bird, not expecting them to shield. This should do a bunch of damage if it goes unshielded, and it does. Switch into Swampert. I make sure to throw a Mud Shot before throw my Hydro Cannon, because I was hoping they would throw their move when they saw the Swampert come in, and that allowed me to CMP tie on this move, take all their energy, now bring in Skarmory, and since they are energy dry, this thing should be no threat anymore. They will get to the move before I get to my Sky Attack. Technically, this is the hardest hitting move now, but what I don't want to happen is if they throw an Acid Spray, that then, like, their Nidoqueen is able to get an Earth Power somehow, and that will knock out now that my defense is dropped, so I opt to shield, no shield the first move, which is just a Scald, of course, doesn't even do that much. In comes Nidoqueen now. This should only be a Poison Fang. I no shield again. Honestly, I could shield. It really doesn't matter what I do at this point, honestly. They're basically lost at this point. The Licklicky also energy dry. I didn't need to throw this, but I do it anyway just to be safe, because I should be able to farm down the Nidoqueen quite easily now, and that is another win in the books. GG's. Alright, Jellicent lead. It's pretty awkward for Swampert, honestly. I generally don't really know what to do here. This game, I decided to bait, and I think it goes terribly. It does, because they no shield, and then after this, I'm actually gonna bait again, and gonna no shield again. So I don't know what I'd recommend you to do here, but probably not this. Maybe just go for Earthquake, because at the very least, you take a shield. But then if they shield, you're also in trouble. So yeah, I think most Jellicents I've seen have no shield the first move though. So I think what I would recommend you to do is to go for Earthquake straight away. But ultimately, it's like a 50-50 call. You have to make yourself. So good luck, trainer. Anyway, triple Hydro still takes out the Jellicent. Out comes Roserade, very spicy. I bring in Tentacruel as I don't want my Swampert to go down with a Hydro Cannon. This is not amazing, since a Leaf Storm does a ton of damage. They bring in Drapion. I'm very glad they switched out, since now I should be able to get my Skarmory aligned to that Roserade. But it does have Weather Ball Fire, so that's looking kind of meh. And Drapion, even though it's a poison type, is kind of okay versus Skarmory too. So I'm kind of worried. Luckily, I saved my Swampert though with a Hydro Cannon. Should be able to fire it now. I might even have enough health left where I should be able to get to another Hydro Cannon. Yes, get to one here. This will take the shield, and then hopefully I'll be able to farm down with Skarmory. If I get a couple debuffs on their crunches though, this could be trouble. And unfortunately, they hit the crunch right here. It gets a debuff immediately, which is so bad, because this means the next two crunches will knock me out. If I cannot get to my Sky Attack before the third crunch, I am definitely in trouble. But luckily, I reach it. This will take out the Drapion. And since their Roserade is energy dry, I should be able to get to a Sky Attack before they reach 2 Weather Balls, as it's 20 turns for 2 Weather Balls, and it's 15 turns for 1 Sky Attack. So they're gonna throw their first Weather Ball here, but I'm not worried at all. They shouldn't be able to reach another one, so just reach a Sky Attack here, and this will definitely take out the Roserade. GG's. Next up, Samurott lead. Pretty spicy pick and not that great for my Swampert, so I decided to switch out right as I get to a Hydro, hoping to catch theirs. Unfortunately, unsuccessful, but they stay in and throw anyway, meaning they're probably quite weak to Tentacruel in the back. Now, I don't have to shield this. Tentacruel just resists everything Samurott can throw. It's only a Hydro. Doesn't do anything, but it does put me in range where this Walrein can now take me out with an Earthquake. So smart play by my opponent there, knowing they need some chip damage on Tentacruel before they can take me out with an Earthquake from Walrein, which I will respect, by the way. I'm expecting this to be an Earthquake, and I also think they're quite weak to Tentacruel in the back, so I want to save this thing if possible. I'm going to throw a Scalder, as this will knock out the Walrein. We get a little bit of lag, but I'm pretty sure it was just a recorder, so nothing bad. Yeah, I'm expecting this to be another Earthquake, and you know, since my Tentacruel is likely to be strong in the back, I shield it up. It is the Earthquake, great shield. We're going to be able to farm down the Tentacruel, have energy loaded for whatever's in the back, which ends up being a load of muck. So not as weak to Tentacruel as I thought, but still, there's a fine matchup for Tentacruel at this point, as I'm able to get to the Scald. Kind of wanted to save my Tentacruel for the Samurott, so switch in Swampert here. They instantly switch to Samurott to catch my Hydro, not too great, but as you could see, that Hydro still did a ton of damage, to the point where the next one will definitely knock out. I throw Mega Horn here, does more than a single Hydro, so smart move by my opponent, as it seems they're gonna let their Samurott go anyway here. Yeah, Though, I think maybe double Hydro would have been smarter. Just shield there, double Hydro, get rid of my Swampert, and they still have some Samurott left for whatever I have left in the back. But I think they thought they might be able to sweep with Muck at this point, as they are able to farm me down. But yeah, because I have Skarmory in the back, this is definitely over. I even bring in Tentacruel just to eat the energy. I don't think this is even enough, actually. And if it kills me, that's fine too, because I still have Skarm. But yeah, I don't die. I get to the Scald. This will knock out Muck at this point. And if it doesn't, I still got Skarmory. This is game over. Very, very nice. Alright, we got in the next game a Warren lead. This is not ideal, but Swampert is very, very okay here. You can go for baits here. You can go for straight Earthquake. Just do whatever you like. Either one really works. Generally, I like going straight Earthquake here, as I either take a shield or you know, a bunch of health. And generally, they don't shield these. This one did, though. I still should be able to get to another Earthquake before they get to 2 Icicle Spears, though, as it's 15 Powder Snows for 3 Icicle Spears, and it's 14 Mudshots for 2 Earthquakes. So even overfarm by 1, hoping to CMP tie them on the move, but they actually are smart and they overfarm. They do let the Hydro Cannon or the Earthquake go, though, which is quite nice. Gonna catch the next Icicle Spear on my Tentacruel, though, as I do think they might be kind of weak to Swampert in the back. And having Hydro stored is never a bad idea. So switch out the Hydro, caught the Icicle Spear. In comes a Escavalier now, which is definitely not ideal. But I resist the counters. Duran is non-stab, so shouldn't do that much. Especially since I got the attack drop with the Scald now. This Duran shouldn't kill me. Even without the debuff, though, I don't think it would knock me out. So yeah, it definitely wouldn't. So that is kind of nice debuff for the next matchup, but for this one, I don't think it really mattered. They had to throw another Duran anyway. Now I can safely bring my Skarm, though. This is where the debuff does come in clutch, though, as these counters are now doing even less than they would have without it. So that's kind of nice. Get to keep a little more of my Skarmory because of that. Duran also does nothing. We're going to be able to fully farm this Escavalier down and have a ton of energy stored on Skarmory to throw at this Toxicroak that they have in the back. Double counter user, very interesting line, but definitely doesn't like Skarmory. Just gotta make sure they can't catch the Sky Attack on their lead Pokemon now, the Warren, so I'm extra careful with throwing my Sky Attack. Hit it on the Toxicroak. Now we can just farm this down, and the Warren should be almost dead as well, so they concede the match. GG's. Alright, Swampert, Mirror, lead. Generally, you're just gonna want to stay in this matchup. If you have like a slightly higher attack Swampert, that's actually ideal for this. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, I guess. Unfortunately for the Swampert Mirror, I have a very high stat product Swampert with low attack, which means I usually lose the Mirror. As you could see, I lost the CMP there, but luckily my opponent decided he would try to be cheeky and throw the Earthquake. Something that you could also do. I don't think that's necessarily a bad play, because if the opponent lets the Earthquake go, which a lot of people no-shield the first move, as a Hydro doesn't knock you out, and if they do let the Earthquake go, like, they die. So it's actually kind of a risky play, but it can pay off big time if it does hit. Luckily I shielded, which make that matchup not that bad. I tried to catch a move on my Tentacruel just now, but that didn't work out. They ended up getting to the Earthquake, which I had to shield up. And then I brought in Dragonite, which is not too bad for me. This Ranglow doesn't even knock me out, so they're gonna have to throw 2, which they're almost at. So I'm actually gonna Scald here, because I wanted this chip damage, even though it doesn't knock out. I didn't think it was worth trying to farm up to the Sludge, and I actually knock them out before they even throw their move, which is nice. Out comes that Talonflame. Go for the Scald here before they can even get to a move. I think I'm 2 Mudshots away with my Swampert. Yeah, I am. I'm 1 away, so I would have reached it before the Brave Bird. I actually tried to catch it on their Swampert, but I would have just farmed down. They realized that, and they concede the match. GG's. Alright, another Jelliscent lead. Last time they no-shielded all my baits, so this time I think I'm just gonna go straight for the Earthquake. Even Bubble Beamed me before I could, though, so that's not ideal. So now they're definitely gonna let this go, to be honest, because it does nothing now. Jelliscent is an absolute tank. It's crazy. Didn't even do half. This is definitely gonna be a Shadow Ball, so I'm gonna shield this up. Now I might consider baiting. They actually switched to Ninetales, though, with Powder Snow, which this is a really good matchup for Tentacruel. When they're running Powder Snow, they usually run Dazzling Gleam and a Weather Ball, meaning all moves are resisted. If they would run Shy Shock, this would be a little more worrying, but clearly they don't. I said just threw a Weather Ball into me, and this should be the Dazzling Gleam. So yeah, we can resist everything here and just fully farm this Ninetales down, which is pretty huge. A little bit of recorder lag right there. It's okay. We're just gonna farm this down. yeah, we have 100 energy loaded now for whatever comes in next, and nothing really wants to take a Scald or a Sludge, I think, except for jelliscent. Yeah, I kind of forgot that was the lead. Jelliscent's kind of a wall here, of course. But yeah, we just get the 2 Scalds. As we'll knock out their Jelly, and then hopefully we can take out whatever's in that back, which ends up being a Slurpuff. No, an Aromatisse, actually. An Aromatisse. They're the same Pokemon in my mind, which, well, we of course have a hard counter in or 4 with the Skarmory. So they actually let the Scald go, which is insane. Maybe expecting Acid Spray. Yeah, we're not running Acid Spray. They know it's over, so they concede the match. GG's. All right, Sylveon lead. Again, we have 2 better answers here, so I switch into my Tentacruel. In comes a Swampert, and we're gonna do the same play we did earlier in the video. Throw a Scald, double shield Earthquakes, farm all the way down, get switch advantage, and we should be looking pretty good. The first team we faced with Sylveon Swampert was Warren in the back. That's a pretty common team, it seems, so that's kind of what I'm expecting right here too. Which means if I get shield advantage, or I mean switch advantage, even if I have to give up shield advantage, I should be looking pretty good, as he has nothing that can really get rid of my Tentacruel or Skarmory, or even Swampert that easily. Shear up the Earthquake again, and this should allow me to fully farm this down. Not before they get to the Hydro though. This time they didn't get the buff, but it's fine. As you can see, it doesn't even do that much. We're still alive. Not that healthy, but fine enough. Fine enough. Out comes the Sylveon. It seems they just want to take this energy. We throw the Sludge. Almost knocks him out. Now they bring in the Walrein. Since I took that Sludge and I don't have any energy, it actually makes this tougher for me than my previous opponent. This Walrein will now get a bunch of farm. And I'm not even able to get to the Sludge Wave. They let that go. No drop, unfortunately. But yeah, look at how much damage I've done. Even with just a Scald and Poison Jabs, this Warren is already almost dead. My Skarmory is basically still full health. And I should be able to take 3 Icicle Spears they've stored up, basically. Do a bunch of damage with Air Slashes. Probably even get to the Sky Attack. And even if I don't get to the Sky Attack, I still have a full health Swampert, which might be able to get the 2 Hydros there still. But yeah, another Icicle Spear coming out. Survive. I get to the Sky Attack. And now we're looking really good. This point, after this Sky Attack, I'm just going to switch into Swampert. Actually, not available since the Skarmory dies. But yeah, bring in a Swampert afterwards. Anyway, take this move. Even if it was an Earthquake, I would survive. Just an Icicle Spear. Easy tank. Go for the Hydro Cannon. And we say goodbye to the Walrus. GG's. Actually, oh, Sylveon still left. Oh, no. Oh, that was actually kind of risky throwing that Hydro Cannon right there. Because if they had caught that, it would have been over. Actually forgot the Sylveon was still alive. So luckily they didn't catch. And we managed to finish off the game right there. All right, Walrein lead. We've seen this before. I just go straight Earthquakes here. Because most Walreins do not shield. And even if they do, you still get to a second one. You either take both shields or take out the Walrein, or not take it out, but bring it like extremely low to where it's not really a threat for the rest of your team. Throw an Icicle Spear. Again, it's 14 Mud Shots. 14 Mud Shots for 2 Earthquakes, 15 for 3 Icicle Spears. So I'm actually going to try to CMP tie on the 3rd Icicle Spear by over-farming by 1, but they call that and catch the Earthquake on their Heracross. Absolutely insane play by my opponent there. Still does a ton of damage though. Farm to a Hydro Cannon before switching out to the Skarm to farm this down. They do get to the move here, but it's only gonna be a Rock Blast, so luckily it doesn't do that much. We fully farm down the Heracross. What do they bring in now? They bring in the Walrein, I do believe. Yes, it comes the Walrein. I'm not really expecting a shield here, so I'm actually gonna go for the Brave Bird. I think Brave Bird will knock out yet, so that's why I'm not expecting a shield. Go for it immediately. So I didn't want to take an Icicle Spear beforehand. Maybe I should have though, because I would have still... No, I don't think I would have survived it. Yeah, they shielded up, which is so bad. That means they can now fully farm me down before I even get to another Sky Attack. A ton of energy loaded. I'm bringing my Tentacruel here. They actually waited a turn to see what comes in, so I'm expecting this to be an Earthquake. But I got baited with the Icicle Spear. Absolutely terrible. This means they will get to the Earthquake right now. This will do a ton of damage, but I will survive. As you can see, it actually doesn't even do that much. I have to throw a Scald there to take this out, but I'm over farming a bunch. So, you know, still right before they got to the Earthquake, but actually switch to Surfetch. And now I'm in trouble, okay? The thing with Surfetch is it gets to a move in 5 counters. That's 4. 5 counters, all right? I threw my move after 4. Now, I could have thrown a Sludge Wave. It would have done more. but it wouldn't kill the Surfetched. It wouldn't even put it in range where I can farm down, because I would get killed by a Leaf Blade, of course. I will get killed by a Leaf Blade. So what I do is I throw a Scald. After this, I'm going to switch to Swampert, throw the Hydro, that will finish off the Surfetched. Then I hope the Walrein doesn't get enough farm versus my Swampert to reach an Earthquake for a Tentacruel, and I can Scald the Walrein. So that's the play. I also couldn't have switched out into Swampert before throwing that move, by the way, as a Hydro doesn't kill the Surfetched either, I think. Even with like 4 Poison Jabs, I don't think Hydro would have done enough there. So I was forced to throw a Scald there. Because of that, I farmed down my Swampert, and unfortunately, they get the Earthquake right here. And this ends the 15-win streak. GG. Definitely a game I could have played better. Like, if they hadn't caught the Earthquake, I think that was a clean win. If they hadn't showed the Brave Bird or were just gone for Sky Attack, I would have been fine as well. But they put me in a tough spot there, and they managed to win the game very nicely. GG's. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one. Good luck with your battle, trainers.